Have you ever found yourself apologizing for something they did to you? It's a feeling that twists your stomach, like falling through a trapdoor in your own reality. One moment, you're expressing your pain. The next, they're crying, blaming, and accusing you. Suddenly, you're the villain in a story you never wrote. You think, maybe I overreacted. Maybe I really did hurt them. But deep down, a quiet voice whispers, wait, wasn't I the one in pain? This confusion isn't random. It's a tactic. And it's one narcissists use with surgical precision. Some people master the role of the victim, not because they are hurting, but because it protects them from accountability. They rewrite the story so that your truth becomes a threat and their lies become a shield. In this video, we're going to unravel that mask. We'll explore why narcissists always play the victim, how it distorts your sense of self, and most importantly, how you can begin to see through it. Stay with me until the end. The clarity you've been searching for might just be waiting on the other side of their manipulation. You're not alone in this. It usually begins subtly. You confront them about something that hurt you. Maybe it was something they said in anger, or how they dismissed your feelings again. You speak up, hoping for understanding, hoping they'll meet you halfway. But what you get instead is a complete reversal. Suddenly, they are the ones in pain. They are the ones shocked, wounded, devastated by how you could accuse them of something like this. They say you're being dramatic, too sensitive, even cruel. And just like that, you're on the defensive. You go in looking for clarity and come out confused, ashamed, and guilty. This is not an accident. This is emotional manipulation. Narcissists are experts at twisting narratives, and when being charming, strong, or admired doesn't get them what they want, playing the victim becomes their most powerful tool. Why? Because being the victim shifts power. It turns accountability into sympathy. It makes you hesitate, and it allows them to keep control without ever having to change. Why narcissists need to be the victim? To understand this behavior, we have to look deeper into the psychology of narcissism. At the core of narcissistic personality disorder lies a deep, fragile sense of self. Despite their often grandiose behavior, narcissists carry an overwhelming fear of being seen as flawed, wrong, or weak. They can't accept responsibility for harm, because in their world, admitting fault equals total emotional annihilation. They've spent their lives building a false identity, a mask. It might be the hero, the martyr, the misunderstood genius, or the selfless lover. But underneath, there is an empty, unstable sense of identity held together by lies, denial, and projection. So what happens when reality challenges that mask? They can't allow it. If you call them out, if you point to the truth of their harmful behavior, they don't reflect. They deflect. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to claim they're the real victim. It's a powerful reversal. Now, instead of being accountable for their behavior, they paint you as the abuser, the bully, the ungrateful partner or friend. They might say things like, I've done everything for you, and this is how you treat me? You're so emotionally unstable. I can't talk to you. I never raised my voice. You're just too sensitive. These phrases are not just manipulations. They're survival strategies, used to maintain their distorted self-image and preserve control. Playing the victim also feeds their need for narcissistic supply. Narcissists crave attention, validation, and emotional energy. And while they often get that through admiration, they'll take pity just as quickly. The moment they sense they're losing control or admiration, they pivot. Feel sorry for me. Replaces look up to me. Victimhood becomes their shield and their sword. Protection from the truth, and a weapon to hurt those who try to hold them accountable. Common manipulation tactics. Let's talk about how this shows up, practically and emotionally, in your life. There are several tactics narcissists use to support their victim narrative, and many of them are designed to make you question your own reality. 1. Gaslighting. This is the most common. They deny things they clearly said or did. They twist the timeline. They act shocked, wounded, or confused when you recall painful moments. You might say, "You shouted at me last night." They'll reply, "What are you talking about? I never raised my voice. You were the one yelling." Gaslighting destabilizes your sense of what's real. It forces you to rely on their version of the story. And in that version, they are always the innocent party. 2. Projection. Narcissists often accuse you of the exact things they are doing. If they're lying, they'll accuse you of hiding things. If they're manipulating, they'll say you're trying to control them. If they're emotionally abusing you, they'll say you're toxic. It's a psychological mirror, but it's cracked. Their accusations are meant to disarm and confuse you, while shifting attention away from their own actions. 3. Triangulation. They bring other people into the conflict to validate their version of events. They might tell friends, family, or even your own support system, "I don't know what's wrong with them lately. I'm really worried." Now you're not only defending yourself to the narcissist, you're defending yourself to the people around you. It creates a false consensus. Suddenly, you feel like you're the unstable one. You are the one who needs help. 4. Emotional blackmail. Narcissists will cry, collapse, threaten to leave, or even harm themselves. Not always because they're truly in distress, but because they want to stop the conversation. They want to guilt you into backing down. And often, it works. Because you're empathetic. You care. You don't want to hurt someone you love. But empathy, in the hands of a narcissist, becomes a weapon against you. 5. Silent treatment and disengagement. When they can't win the narrative, they punish you with silence. They withdraw affection, communication, attention, anything they know you value. But to outsiders they'll say, "I'm distancing myself because I'm being abused." They continue playing the victim, even in their silence. These patterns are exhausting, not just emotionally, but spiritually. You start to lose track of your own truth. You start to feel like maybe you are the problem. And that's exactly what they want. How it affects you, being in the orbit of someone who constantly plays the victim when they're actually the one causing harm, creates a unique kind of trauma. It's not loud or obvious at first. It creeps in quietly. You stop trusting your feelings. You second-guess every reaction. You find yourself over-apologizing, even when you know you didn't do anything wrong. You feel responsible for their moods, their outbursts, their sadness. It's like you're walking on emotional glass. And every time you speak, it cuts you instead of them. This environment wears you down. You become smaller, quieter, more careful. Not because you want peace, but because you want to avoid triggering them. You start to live their story instead of your own. You isolate. You feel ashamed. You think, if I tell people what's happening, will they even believe me? Everyone thinks they're so kind, so generous, so hurt. And worst of all, you may begin to question your worth. Maybe I am too much. Maybe I am broken. Maybe I did deserve this. Let me be very clear. You didn't. This is the power of the narcissist's victim act. Not just to change the story, but to change the way you see yourself. But there is a way back, and you are already on it. Let's start here, with something you may need to hear again and again. You're not crazy. You're not dramatic. You're not abusive. You were manipulated. You were pulled into a world where reality was constantly rewritten, where love came with conditions, and where the person hurting you wore the mask of the wounded. That kind of experience leaves deep scars. Not because you were weak, but because you cared. your empathy, your kindness, your desire to make things work. That's what kept you in the cycle. Not foolishness, not ignorance, just hope. But no matter how much compassion you gave, the story never changed. They still found a way to become the victim. So let me offer you a new truth. You do not need to carry their shame. You do not need to explain your pain to those who were never willing to see it. And you do not need their validation to begin healing. Healing begins with clarity. And clarity begins with seeing the pattern for what it is. When someone constantly plays the victim, even when they're the one causing harm, it's not confusion, it's control. Start noticing. Do they flip the story every time you express pain? Do they cry when you bring up their mistreatment, making you feel like the bad guy? Do they constantly talk about how they've been wronged, but never own up to how they hurt you? Do you walk away from conversations feeling guilty, even though you were the one hurting? These are signs that you've been caught in the emotional fog of a narcissistic narrative. But once you see it, really see it, you begin to breathe again. You realize that their story is not the only story, and you don't have to live inside it anymore. What you can do now. Let's talk about what healing can look like. Not perfection, not immediate peace, but small, sacred steps back to yourself. Here are 4 things you can begin doing today. 1. Reclaim your narrative. Start writing again. Not for them. Not to prove anything. Just for you. Journal the moments you felt hurt. Record the things they said that made you question yourself. Write out what you wish you had said. Let the truth take up space. Because the longer you live under their story, the more distant your own voice becomes. It's time to bring it back. 2. Connect with people who see you. Isolation is the narcissist's playground. They thrive when you doubt yourself, and when no one else sees what's happening behind closed doors. Reach out to someone safe. A therapist, a support group, a friend who knows how to listen without judgment. Even if you don't explain everything, just saying, "I'm going through something hard, and I need someone who believes in me," can change everything. You're not meant to untangle this alone. 3. Detach from their version of you. Narcissists often create a version of you that fits their story. The selfish one, the unstable one, the ungrateful one. But hear this, you are not who they say you are. You are not responsible for the story they tell others. And you don't have to defend yourself to people who only know you through their lens. You can choose to step out of the narrative entirely and let your life, your choices, your peace speak for itself. 4. Set emotional boundaries. Even if you can't fully go no contact, you can set firm internal boundaries. That means refusing to argue about your truth. No longer explaining your feelings to someone committed to misunderstanding them. Giving yourself permission to walk away, physically or emotionally, when conversations become toxic. Boundaries are not about changing them. They're about protecting you. I know this journey is lonely sometimes. I know how it feels to look back and wonder how long you lived inside a lie, and how much of yourself you gave away trying to fix it. But what matters now is not what happened before. What matters now is what you do with your clarity. The truth is a painful thing to face, but it's also a powerful one, because once you see the mask, you can never unsee it. And that means you're free to walk away, free to stop apologizing, free to stop explaining, free to stop shrinking. You don't need their permission to heal. You don't need them to admit what they did. You only need you, and the quiet, steady belief that your story is worth reclaiming. So if you've ever felt like you were drowning in their tears, if you've ever been made to feel like the villain for daring to feel hurt, this is your reminder. You are not the villain. You are the survivor. And this, right here, is the beginning of you choosing yourself, Thank you for watching till the end. If you found this content useful, please subscribe for more content